Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. Nah, Detroit, I'm not late. I'm late. Well, I'm 20 minutes late. What's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's going on, Trill? What's going on, Better You? International Ronin, Detroit. What's up, y'all? Life is happening, right? Life is lifing. Shout out to Toya. So y'all saw the clip, right? And who said in my community tab that Sagar is like Sagar is dropping like these little red pill nuggets everywhere, right? He's like shadow red pill, right? And he really is. And in many ways, he's speaking about the tide that binds. That's why my title is what it is. Um, and so, being a black man, part of the black manosphere, we often see black women kind of laughing and poking fun at the plight of black men as if it's not linked to them, and the plight, and thinking that they can escape the plight of black men by dating or marrying interracially, not understanding that the plight of black men is largely reflected and increasingly reflected in men in general in America. Translation: there is no escape hatch out of this. We're tied by the hip, men and women, right? Um, Unless, of course, you're dating same sex, then maybe, you can, finagle something. So what Sagar was saying was very important, and I found my voice recorder, so we're going back to voice recorder days. But and y'all bear with me. I know this is still kind of um what I'm doing in the interim until I find a better solution for recording things and playback and et cetera, et cetera. But we're going to play this, and then we're going to come back on the other end with our commentary. Y'all let me know how well y'all can hear this when I play it. So here we go, and I'll pause right here, and then we'll come back on the other end of my commentary. The male-female differential here is noting men are much more likely to say politics now and express delight in the ability to make better wage than before, whether having to go to the trouble of college. Make no mistake, on the long run timeline, this is going to dramatically reshape the face of America. College is not just about education, or it's really about ideology and lifestyle. But the having college is the best single approximation today for how you, if you attend college, you're likely a Democratic voter and vice versa. Of course, there are many exceptions, and I'm talking about averages. But the point remains here. If you went to college, you were much more likely to have very different cultural tastes, including, but not limited to, top music, the TV shows you watch, being on a vacation, shop groceries, what you consider a society problem, whether you know anyone in the military, so many things like this. If you don't go to college, you can be very different preferences and desires in almost every single one of those categories. Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, as long as besides, we're not trying to police the other. But the issue is what happens when those separate dramatically by gender and class lines. We already have lots of data to show the mismatch between men and women in college is having a huge effect already on potential dating. For college graduate females especially, it is leading to a major religious crisis for men. We're having very, very times. I think female hate, female depression, it's all that as I got. It's really young men crisis. Young men commit suicide 4 times a week, and they make up 80% of all suicide deaths in male versus female. Further, young men may seek for their life. Some worst health outcomes, they achieve wages, their license and satisfaction. Generally, they are not thriving. Structurally, you're in a tough place right now. Men understand they're not working in college, that it's not a good thing for them. But the working class wages they are seeking are not high enough in the long run, or show enough promise to actually set them up for middle class or upper class life in the future. Thus, they remain this odd middle ground gray area. They're not thriving enough to attract themselves college graduates who also find themselves lonely and miserable. What you need is a total reset of this whole system. Okay, so y'all saying the sound is bad? Okay, we will figure something out. I'm gonna have to figure something out. So that's yeah, yeah. I'll figure out how I'm gonna do this in a minute. I gotta get on the road. So yeah, so essentially, Sagar was saying pretty much, um, for some new audio fuzzy, for for some new audio fuzzy. Thank you very much, Tro. Right. Oh man, and Excalibur said, just go into your commentary. Well, the video is in the description just in case. But I wanted to focus on these particular 2 minutes. Um,
and the 2 minutes were between let's say what 4 minutes and 30 seconds into Soccer's commentary. It was something like that, right? 4 minutes into his commentary, up until about mm, was it 4 minutes? Let's say 3.5 minutes to about 5.5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes into his commentary. Um, why this is important? It's the tie that binds, right? So black men deleting themselves because it wasn't just black men. Men deleting themselves, less men for women. Men, not attending college, less men for women that are in college, obviously. And then because the way women view college, this once again goes right back, right? And I know, right now Jason Black is going at Rollo Tomasi, but Rollo Tomasi did tell Dr. Richard Reeves straight up, and tried to disillusion, right? Um, or clear up the glasses, not disillusion, wrong term. Um, Clear the fog off the glasses of Dr. Richard Reeves and tell him straight up, yeah, the women ain't budging. They say they want college men. That's what it is. But college is not a good space for men right now. Women want to talk about safe spaces. College is not a safe space for men. That's why less and less men are going. Notice I didn't say black men. I said men. Right? It's like the black manosphere in particular is ahead of the game. We're attempting to tell people, the technocrats and the social designers, what's going on, and they don't want to hear it because they really think, no, we'll just put women in the best position, and then they'll do the right thing by us, a society. And no, right? And no. So what you see is, yeah, the depression rate for women is going up. So, like Mr. Z says all the time, and I'm not joking, get ready to see them really on antidepressants, right? So women are getting their degrees, and as I've said, and as other people have said also in the Black manosphere, these women are coming out of college and university, and they're essentially saying, "Where's my man?" Because they're looking for a particular type of man. As Sagar also went into, college degrees indicate so much about train tracks, right? College degrees indicate so much about the type of foods you like, the type of entertainment you consume, your voting patterns, etc., etc. Whether you have a college degree or not, and it's not the men, it's the women. So what we're seeing is that college is and in university, right, are not a air quotes safe space for men, but yet women are demanding that men go to college and university. And then when they're coming out of college and university with no man, then they're throwing a fit and saying, well, I won't, and they sound like Ebony K. Williams, I won't settle for you mediocre men, which is perfectly okay, but then deal with the consequences of being single. This is like, y'all, so many people hear me say, well, then eat the box. Y'all think I'm joking. I'm not joking. I did the social math. Right? I keep on saying this over and over again. Right? I keep on saying the I'm not joking part. I keep on saying that I've done the social math. I've done the math. Right? And unlike Dr. Richard Reeves, who admits that he's a bit optimistic on this, I'm not optimistic because the optimism comes off as delusional. The women are telling you they're not budging. Guess what? Many of them, not all, arguably, whether it's most or not, but many of them are not budging. And this does, like Sagar was saying, have social and political ramifications, right? Louis C.K. had a bit, and I'm not a fan of Louis C.K. for obvious reasons. In word in front of Chris Rock, obviously. Um, but Louis C.K. had a bit on one of his stand-ups forever ago, where he spoke like he was saying like the race divide is going to be less and less of a thing, right? And it was a funny bit. But the race divide is going to be less and less of a thing. It's going to become a gender divide. Now, I don't agree with the race divide becoming less and less of a thing. I think that our mainstream media is going to try to or attempt to get us to focus on it less, which is obviously going to make more problems, right? It's not a race; it's everything else but race, right? So there's that. But he did speak about, like I was saying, the gender divide becoming a thing. And well, Exhibit A, ladies, y'all wanted the college space, y'all got it. Y'all wanted the university spaces, y'all got it. Y'all wanted the white collar spaces. Y'all wanted to be in offices and cubicles with your AC typing away on, in the cubicle. You got it, right? You got it. Now you want a man that's similarly situated, from our religious folks, equally yoked, and you're not getting that. Oh, not in enough numbers, right? How y'all thought this was going to turn out? And like I said to Yanni, you can't threaten men. Oh, you can't threaten men. Oh, that no, we're just gonna hold on our box, and we're not gonna have sex with anyone, and we're not. Yeah, that sound nice. You can see how it's working for Yanni, right? Sounding more and more off the more she speaks. You can see how that throwing a fit because you can't get or keep the type of man you feel you deserve. You can see how that's working out for Ebony K. Williams, right? You can see how that's working out for Tracy Ellis Ross. You can see how that's working out for Maya. You can see how that's working out for Vivica A. Fox and Lisa Ray and all of them, honestly, right? So yes, ladies, y'all have college degrees. Y'all are getting more and more college degrees than men. And unlike men who date and marry across the board, women say, I only want to date across at worst. I want to date and marry up across at worst. And well, how's that working? Right? How is that working? The numbers are the numbers. We have Yanni speaks about the incentive. We have de-incentivized men from going to college and university. What's this LGBTQ non-binary brother name? I'm gonna do some commentary on some of the stuff that he's producing in a little bit and maybe a couple days. But he speaks about, we need to get men in college, and no, we don't want to go to your feminized universities and colleges. And notice, it's not just black men. We're not going. Now, Mr. Z does want to actually go to college, go back to college, right? Mr. Z actually does want to go back to college, and I'm probably going to go back to college. But as a sex, oh yeah, men are not going. Oh no, we're not going. The males are not going. We're not. As a group, we're not. And I suspect that number continues to drop off a cliff. For men in general, why would we? So that the women on the college and university campuses can tell you how horrible you are and try to intellectualize their misandry, right? And tell you how pathetic of a patriarch you are, why they chase after the patriarchs, right? Huh. Sager, Dr. Richard Reeves, Scott Galloway, Rod Shetty, all these people, they're ringing the alarms. There's so many others ringing the alarms, right? It's not but this is the difference. Scott Galloway thinks you can merit your way through. Richard Reeves is trying his hardest not to offend the feminists. But let me be very clear. Screw how they feel. This is the real. And I didn't even mention Green Gorilla, Dr. Green Gorilla, Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, Dr. Ron O'Neill, all the brothers with master's degrees and PhDs in the Black Manosphere. I didn't even mention all of y'all. I just mentioned the white folks. Right? It's not the men. The women said, yeah, thank you for our college degree. And I know y'all expect us to pick up the financial load, but we're not. I know you think we're going to overcome this status thing that we want and this power couple thing that we want. I heard you, Anne Marie Slaughter. Yeah, we're not budging. What's the lady that wrote Men on Strike? Yeah, we're not budging. Right? Karen Strawn, Girls Right What? Yeah, we're not budging. It's not the men. And by the way, it's always been the women. They just gotten worse. Because at least for some of our mothers, they would have college degrees, and yet they would marry the truck driver. Not just date him, but marry him and stay. Right? They would marry the garbage man and stay. They would marry the bus driver and stay. Yes, even as an attorney, Miss Ebony K. Williams. But these newfangles, oh no. See, that's why I said when they say these people are attempting to, they don't want to call it hypergamy, right? They don't want to call it hypergamy. The powers that be don't want to say, yeah, the women are it's hypergamy. Right? And by the way, nothing wrong with this. Mr. Z is not speaking ill about women and their preference and practicing hypergamy. We know what this is. When Mr. Z is saying, y'all thought y'all could have socialized them out of it, how's that working? You thought you could socialize them out of it, how is that working? You thought you could force the women to move a particular direction or the men to move a particular direction. How is that working? The men are dropping out of college. Wait, sorry. The men aren't going to college, and then the men that are going to college are dropping out of college. And then the women who you think you're putting their back to the wall to marry these men who they think they're better than, yeah, they're not budging. How is that working? And we didn't get into looks yet. We didn't get into attraction yet. We didn't get into personality yet. We didn't get into any of that yet. Height, for the women that have height requirements, we didn't get into any of that yet. We're just talking straight numbers. Who has degrees, who don't have degrees, and who earns what? Sagar is telling y'all the real right now. The women are not budging. Now what? Don't worry, we'll continue on this project. And Sagar told you straight up, yeah, they're like, well, what we need to do is lower the tuition. Yeah, no, it's not just the money. It's not just the price of college. It's the institution itself. It's the fact that y'all brought in all y'all daughters, right, indoctrinated them, and then sent them out in the world as the colonizing softer agent for rich white elite men. And your sons of varying races see that, and they're like, nah. And your daughters, yeah, they're not budging. They're okay with being the person with the whip in their hands. Actually, they're desirous of it. They're glad to be the colonizing agent. Right? Have fun trying to get your sons to sign up for that more and more. Right? So y'all wanted the education space to be more feminized? Cool. Your sons are not going. And then because your sons are not going, your daughters are demanding this as a requirement. And there you go. So now y'all understand why. Yeah, there was a nice contingent of black women that were against what Ebony K. Williams was saying. We got to give those women credit. Yeah, they were like, yeah, no. But on the other side, were a whole lot of women like, stop telling black women to settle. That's your preference. Now y'all understand why they sounded the way they sound. Now you understand why Kim Foster gets to speak the way she does. Dear ladies, you don't have to budge. Men are not budging either. You think I'm joking when I say get ready, put on your boxing gloves and boxing shoes because you're going to be fighting for the top 20% man. I'm not joking when I say it. I'm not joking when I say, well, then go eat the box. I'm not joking when I say, well, if you don't want to exercise those two options, then get prepared to spend years, if not decades, single. And because you're single, that relationship muscle atrophies. That ability to connect to men atrophies. So just be prepared to be single. See, when Kevin Samuels told y'all that, y'all saw it just as an insult. No. He was telling you what's going to happen. When we keep on bringing up Diane Carroll and Eartha Kitt and Vivica A. Fox, you think we're not joking. It's not a threat. Dear ladies, it's not a threat. It's a warning. You're the one who's bought in. You're the one who's brainwashed. You're the one who said, yeah, I want this or nothing else. Right? Fine. You never actually consider what the nothing else looks like. Because when in Creole we say, which means I'm in the lie, he's in the truth. When these brothers off themselves, when these men self-delete, guess what? They're out of here. They're gone. The suffering's over. You, on the other hand, 2 decades later, 3 decades later, and unlike our parents and our grandparents, y'all are not even having children. So there's no children and no grandchildren. Now y'all see why Yanni is bitter that her homegirls are moving on with their lives and getting men and focusing on their men. And focusing on their boyfriends and their husbands. Right? Huh. What are the incentives? There's no incentive. Y'all took the incentives off the table. Ain't that right, Yanni? Huh. You thought we took the incentives off the table. No, we're flipping the table. Forget flipping the table over. We're setting the whole house on fire. No, there's even one better than setting the house on fire. Just walking away. Oh, want to know why your daddy went to go get milk and never came back? I'm not talking about Yanni's dad in particular. Want to know why? Oh, the indifference. It burns. Oh, it burns. See, when I said we shouldn't be for this gender war, when I said there is no men losing without women losing, I just said that. I've been saying that, but I just said that recently. There is no men losing and women not losing. Y'all think y'all playing a tit for tat game where you could win. There is no winning. Ladies, I said it by Christmas recording. Men lose the gender war. I want to be very clear. Let me say it again. Men lose the gender war. They lose. And women lose harder. Let's say that again. Men, if you're a heterosexual person, now if you're doing LGBTQ stuff, that's a different conversation. You're still kind of tied to this, by the way. But if you're a heterosexual person, men lose the gender war. Women just lose the gender war harder. It's that simple. There is no escaping this. There's no swirling your way out of this. There's no divesting your way out of this. There's no buying your way out of this. There's no educating your way out of this. Particularly for Black women. I said I did the social math. I did it. Now go get all your PhDs and your master's degree having Black people or even non-Black people and prove Mr. Z wrong. Because I guarantee you they're going to prove me right. It's a guarantee. This does not work. The women don't want equality or egalitarianism. They want special and equal at the same time. Right? And the more y'all see it, the more you're like, no, 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 that's not what the women are asking for. Dear Dr. Richard Reeves, yes, that is what they're asking for. Yes, you're dealing with a couple of generations of women that will cut their nose to spite their face. They said they want men that are equally yoked or similarly situated. What's the other term? The more posh term they use for hypergamy, right? The women said that. That's what they meant. So when Rolo was saying that, and you were like, "Yeah, but I have," what he said something like he has friends or family or people that he know where the wife is something and the husband is a plumber or something like that, and no, right? That sound nice. That's not what's going on in aggregate. It's happening less and less in the black community. It's happening less and less overall. These newfangles, the young women coming out of college and university now are saying, yeah, power couple or nothing. And power couple is whatever it's in their imagination, right? It's something like similarly situated. It's not on my level, Trell. It's something else. It's I've used the term before. It's just missing me right now, right? That they said college educated people, the women, are practicing right now that they didn't used to practice before, right? I can't remember what the term was. I can't believe I'm missing it right now. I've used it so often, and I keep saying no, it's not that hypergamy, but I forgot what the term is right now. Oh, it's gone, right? Right. So fine, right? Look, Mr. Z, other black men in the black manosphere, assortative mating. Goddamn, thank you very much, Premier. Thank you. Assortative mating. Assortative mating. Thank you. Look, me and other black men in the black manosphere don't begrudge the women their preference, right? We don't begrudge them their preference. I think your preference is your preference, right? If you're college educated and you want a college educated man and it's that or nothing, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it, but there will be consequences as less and less men, I didn't just say black men, attend colleges and universities because we turned it into a feminized space. It's a not safe space. And so black men and other men, young men in general, have decided that, yeah, they would rather not. Right? They would rather not. So Sagar went into detail. And my favorite part is when he explained the difference in college being tied to the difference in how we vote, the different things we eat, just everything, the things we find entertaining, the way we just, you know. And so, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see that air quotes class divide. This is where Kim Foster comes in, right? That lets you know way more women feel and think like Kim Foster when it comes to this college thing. Nothing wrong with that. But deal with the consequences. See, on the other side of that is so many of you thinking this about college educated and non college educated men. And then black women, so many black women saying, well, I'm not competing, I'm not fighting, I'm not, you just gotta take me how I am. That sounds, but y'all all want the same thing, and you all are saying you're not settling. Oh, how is this supposed to work? The math ain't mathing. How is this supposed to work? Y'all all want to be hypergamous. Sorry, how y'all call it. Assortative, practice assortative mating. Then you want somebody of like minds. See, we're not talking about sex here. Although increasingly, young people, particularly women, don't have sex with people that don't align with them politically, that's a whole different conversation. Right? So what we're finding more and more is that the women are saying it's either this college degree thing or nothing. This is not back in the day. Like I said, these newfanglers are saying no. And this has societal ramifications. I'm glad that Sagar is saying it the way he's saying it. It's not about the individual. It's not about that couple or those two people that coulda, shoulda, would have been a couple and they're not now because she has a college degree and he doesn't, and she does. She looks down on him because of it. It's not about those two people. It's about those two people times a few 100,000. It's about the societal ramifications of the women thinking this way. Right? It's about the lack of children they're going to not have. It's about that tax base that's non-existent. It's about that decreasing military population. Right? It's about one gender aligning with one political party and the other gender aligning with another political party. Right? Oh yeah, it's going to get real interesting. So and shout out to the nameless protagonist. See, when the nameless protagonist speaks about the hive model, it sounds far-fetched, but it's really not. Right? Huh. Oh, this is going to be really interesting. This is fascinating. Now, once again, this is not all. This is not all. We're not talking about all women here, all college-educated women. And for and this is where being a brother over the age of 30 actually benefits you. Being a brother over the age of 35 actually benefits you. Rest in peace to all the brothers 30 and younger, 25 and younger. Right? Because this trend accelerates the further down you get in age. Right? And by the time, look, men are. Oh, wait a minute, Mr. Z, you've been traveling with no headphones? Can you guys hear me now? Wow, I didn't even realize that. There you go. Hopefully, you guys can hear me better now. Right? But actually, let's pause right here. Let's see if that was the problem before. I'm going to play this again. Right? And let's see if you guys can hear this now. Maybe that's why that was the problem before the fact. Huh, I wonder. Okay, let me see. Let me play this one more time and let's see if you guys can hear it better now. Because I think it was me. Wow. Ah, the owner operator of said equipment is artard. Is a complete artard sometimes. Ah, the headphones weren't in the whole time, everyone. Oh, serious matter. And I'm over here messing up. Okay, let's see if you guys can hear this better now. Wow. That was a whole what? 30 minutes. Over 30 minutes. No wonder. Okay, there we go. Let's see.
The male-female differential here is worth noting. Men are much, much more likely than women to say college is not worth it and express delight at the ability to make a better wage than before without having to go to the trouble of going to college. Make no mistake, on a long enough timeline, this is going to dramatically reshape the face of America. America. College is not just about education. More and more, it's really about ideology and lifestyle. Whether you have a 4-year college degree or not is the best single approximator today for how you vote. If you attended college, you are likely a Democratic voter, and vice versa. Of course, there are many important exceptions, and I am talking about averages, but the point remains clear. If you went to college, you are much more likely to have very different cultural tastes than if you did not, including, but not limited to, the type of music you like, the TV shows you watch, where you go on vacation, where you shop for groceries, what you consider a societal problem, whether you know anyone in the military, so many things like this. If you don't go to college, you will be very different in your preferences and your desires in almost every single one of those categories. Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, as long as both sides are not trying to police the other. But the issue is what happens when those separate dramatically by gender and class lines. We already have lots of data to show that the mismatch between men and women in college is having a huge effect already on the potential dating pool, for college graduate females especially. It is leading to a major loneliness crisis for a number of men who are having very, very hard times finding a female mate. Young female depression gets all the headlines, but as I've laid out here before, it's really young men who are in crisis. Young men commit suicide at 4 times the rate of young women. They make up 80% of all suicide deaths of male versus female. Furthermore, young men who remain single for prolonged periods of their life suffer worse health outcomes. They achieve lower wages. They report lower life satisfaction. Generally, they are not thriving. Structurally, you're in a tough place right now. Men understand that they are mostly not wanted at college or that it is not a good deal for them. But the working class wages that they are seeking are not high enough in the long run or show enough promise to actually set them up for middle class or upper middle class life in the future. Thus, they remain in this odd middle ground gray area. They're not thriving enough to attract many women who are themselves college graduates who also find themselves lonely and miserable. What you need is a total reset of this whole system.
And there you go. Wow, Mr. Z, 30 minutes. Oh, all right. Okay, so what I found interesting once again is the breakdown of what college education indicates, right? That to me is very, very, very important. It's not just a degree, it's the way we move. And this is where Kim Foster comes in, right? This is what she was explaining. But Mr. Z, like I was trying to say here, it's not sustainable. It's not, especially if you're a black woman on this. If you're a black woman on this, oh, tell me how this is supposed to work. Oh, we're just going to date out. The white dudes are on the same thing the black dudes are on. Not to the same numbers, but it's increasing also. The Latino dudes are right behind us. They're behind us, and then the white guys are behind them. You got the environment you asked for. You just didn't realize what you asked for. Right? You got the environment that you asked for. You just didn't realize what you asked for. Right? That's why they tell you, be careful what you ask for. Y'all the ones that want to practice restorative mating when the men were the ones making all the money. We dated and married who we found attractive. Right? And we attempted to make it work. If we were the ones who were who was earning $15, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 more than our women, so be it. $100,000 more than so be it. If she didn't have a job, so be it. But women are saying, yeah, I'm not signing up for that. Ebony K. Williams is doubling and tripling down. She just recently had a conversation about Gabrielle Union and D Wade situation, right? Oh, Dr. Dunbar's in here. You never know who's listening. You see, you never know who's listening. And thank you for being in here, Dr. Dunbar. And Dr. Dunbar says, no placeholder. Give me a second. You know, the doctors are in the room. So, you know, when the doctor's in the room, we give the doctor special preferential treatment, right? Special treatment. So we just moving that rule from the Raj Reports channel and BGS's channel over here to Z's channel also.
and we'll get to a placeholder in 1 second. And Dr. Dunbar says, exactly, Z. It's not just a piece of paper conferring a skill set. It's social. It's a social certificate, a college degree. I agree. I agree, and I understand that, and I understand that's what Kim Foster was saying when she spoke about class and blue collar versus white collar, right? I understood that's what she was saying, right? And I understand what Sagar is saying here in this, and I think it's important. I just don't know how this works, and this is what Sagar was getting to when that class divide, white collar, blue collar, college educated, non-college educated, when it starts to tract along gender lines, right? That's when it becomes real interesting, right? That's when this becomes real interesting, when this thing starts to track along gender lines, right? And I completely agree with No Placeholder on this one. And No Placeholder says, and thank you for the super chat, No Placeholder. No Placeholder says, I think they overplay the effects on lonely young men to avoid telling the truth about lonely older women. Yeah, absolutely. Right? Absolutely. That's Richard Reeve's whole shtick. Right? Dr. Richard Reeve, that's his whole shtick. Like, look, I'm telling y'all this stuff about the men, but he's subtly slipping in how the women are affected. That's what Sagar's doing also. They're subtly slipping in. Okay, I know y'all don't care about the men. Fine. But let me tell you, look how horrible the men are doing, but it does affect the women. Right? But it does affect the women. Look, the men they're falling apart all these different ways. They're horrible. Da, 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 but it does affect the women. Right? And thank you for the super chat, by the way. No placeholder. They're telling you, but it does affect the women, and the women are like, eh. You can have that attitude as much as you want, but it does affect the women. Right? As I've said before, there is no men losing, black men losing in particular, without women losing, black women losing also. When I said men lose the gender war, but women lose harder, I meant it. Right? And by the way, yes, y'all could use Mr. Z's line, just give Mr. Z credit. Right? What Professor Black True, not Professor, the Black Authority says all the time? I have no ego to inflate or whatever he says. It's inflate in something else. I can't remember. Right? But yeah, look, we don't I don't want women to stop going to school. I actually don't. I know that you need, particularly in this economy, unless you ball it out of control, for the most part, if you wish to have a couple of nice things and live a comfortable life, you and your lady, your girlfriend, your wife, your baby mom, preferably wife, both of you are most likely going to have to work, especially if you live in a major city. So we don't take away from women's education, Mr. Z. Woman is educated. She has a college degree. Mr. Z has only dated college educated women since I was like 23 years old. Only. Every woman I've dated since I was 23 has had a college degree. All of them. That's not the problem. The problem is the ones that think like this in the social ramifications from this. Right? This is a culmination of what so many men, particularly black men in the black manosphere, have been saying. It is not your sons. Your sons, you have done a pretty, unfortunately, this society has done a pretty good job socializing the men, the young men, particularly the young black men, to be more egalitarian. Unfortunately, your daughters are like, yeah, no. When we said egalitarian, we meant everything but what gets our ginies wet. Yeah, we meant everything but what we want to marry. We want egalitarianism and everything but the home space and anything tied to the home space, right? This is where Marx comes in. Yes, Karl Marx. Look, I don't want to lose all the conservative brothers and sisters. Give me a chance. This is when he comes in and says, y'all want to democratize everything but the workspace? What? So everything is up for a vote except for the workspace. We could tie that way in thinking right to the women. So y'all want egalitarianism and everything but home life. Huh. How is this supposed to work? Right? But this is going to be a fact. This I would argue next couple decades is going to be fascinating. Grab your popcorn, everyone. Right? So the whole Morgan Stanley report about how many of these women are going to be single and childless from 2018 to 2030, they're on track, right? They're on track. And you had to know these are investors, right? These are the rich white guys. This is about their money, right? The rich white guys are not gonna, say something just for your feelings. This is about their money. So when they say from 2018 to 2030, about 40-45% of these women are gonna be childless and single, yeah. Sounds about right. So we're not taking away from women's education. Mr. Z in particular isn't telling women not to go to college, not to go to university, not to get advanced degrees. I'm saying that if you think like this with your degree, particularly if you're a black woman, well, you get what you get. Right? You get what you get. And Big Kev says, as a college grad, I despise white collar worship. Brother, as a person that used to work white collar and now works blue collar, I also despise white collar worship. And when I say white collar, I meant dressing up, cubicle, keyboard, screen, sitting at your cubicle for hours on end. I was white collar, right? Shuffling papers around, opening cabinet drawers. I was white collar, right? But it's the idea of leisure. The women are saying it more and more. They're getting close to being so blatant, like it's off of blowhorns. We can tell right now what they're saying, but I would argue because the rest of society doesn't want to hear what they're saying, the women are gonna damn there have to be Dylan Roof level, like blatant. And for those of you that don't understand why I'm saying Dylan Roof level, Dylan Roof ripped all of the plausible deniability that white society would have gave him for shooting up the church, for killing those black people. He took all the plausible deniability off the table. He said, "I'm not, pretty much. There's nothing wrong with me mentally. I wanted to start a race war. I know what I was doing. I did it on purpose. I didn't ask for their apology for all the family members of the victims that were saying they forgave him or whatever, and they don't have no hatred in their heart." He said, "I didn't ask all of that." He took all of the plausible deniability off the table. What I'm saying is, apparently, women are going to have to do that before the rest of society say, "Oh, wait a minute. I think the women are the issue here." Right? Because apparently, if the women aren't that cartoonishly blatant, the Dr. Richard Reeves of the world are always going to find a way to give the women an excuse for. And mind you, the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying the way I'm saying it is because I'm saying the women say they want to be married, they say they want to have children. These are women that are saying this, right? But on the other side of that, they're saying, yeah, assertive mating, really hypergamy, or nothing. And Richard Reeves really doesn't know how to deal with that. Because first, they don't know how to fix the men not going to college more and more issue. And because they don't know how to fix that, that causes a greater issue with the women saying, yeah, we're not budging from our spot. Right? We're not budging from our spot. Tying that to what Big Kev said, if she's a white collar worker, if she's white collar with a college degree, and she has a certain outlook in life, on life, and by the way, like Dr. Dunbar and me and Sagar are saying, and all of the other things that tie into that, voting patterns, taste, stop music, and all of that, right? So, you hear brothers and you hear men speak all the time about compound interest, right? Compound interest, compound interest. What happens when you have generation of college educated women who raise their daughters to be college educated women and only see college educated men, right? When you have generations of air quotes women, I'm gonna say people, but women who say, oh, I'm just looking for air quotes equally yoked. What happens when you have decades and decades of that, generation after generation of that? As I said, many of our mothers were college educated. Some of our mothers were college educated. And they still dated and married and procreated with our fathers that were blue collar workers and weren't college educated. Now, how did our mothers raise our sisters, though? And how did our sisters raise our nieces, though? You see? And now you're here with the Richard Reeves of the world running around the country with their hair on fire, not wanting to address the issue that the women said they're not budging. And I watched the Rollo, yeah, I've referenced it multiple times. I watched the Rollo interview with or conversation with Dr. Richard Reeves. Dr. Richard Reeves, Rollo was in line about that. The other gentleman that was sitting next to Rollo, I've seen him multiple times. I can't remember his name. He wasn't lying about that either. The women are not budging. Richard Reeves has a problem. Like, he was like, wait, but the money, and like you could tell he's like having a wait, but the men are earning money, and it's like, yeah, no, the women have a fantasy in their mind, and it's that fantasy or nothing. When they said no struggle love, when black women say no struggle love, and when black women and other women around the country say they're not settling, you think they're lying? They're not lying. At best case scenario, societally, what ends up happening is these women's loneliness and desperation gets so bad in their 40s that they settle. Let's be honest, they're not really settling. They're getting on their level. They're getting with their level. But that's best case scenario. Right? Huh. And there's so many of them that's on that. We mentioned B. Simone, a little while ago. The day after she hit $1 million, she told you how she can't be with 9-to-5 dudes. How many women, black women in particular, got their little LLC, barely making any money, but they tell you, oh, I need an entrepreneur. I need to go and get it. I need somebody that don't work a 9-to-5. Right? They barely making any money. They don't have any employees. They're self-employed. But hey, you don't hear men speak like this. You don't hear men don't speak like this because they don't think like this. So we spend decades socializing our men to be more egalitarian, and then it turns out that our daughters and our sisters and our mothers and our aunts and our nieces are the problem. Go figure. They're the ones not budging. Go figure. Right? And better uses, and thank you for the super chat. By the way, thank you for the super chat to Big Kev. I don't know if I said it. And oh, I did say thank you for the super chat to No Placeholder. Who else? Let's see. I know I said thank you to Trell. Trell, thank you. Look at that, Trell. Well, Trell, thank you for the $5, but apparently the real problem was Mr. Z. Obviously. Obviously, right? Owner and operator sometimes messes up his equipment because he's coming off of work and he's tired. And the very, very obvious hole in the phone for the phone jack, you know, the phone jack hole. Yeah, Mr. Z just missed the most blatant and obvious part of the recording. Right? And better uses, and thank you for the super chat once again, better you and better uses. Speaking of companies, how do companies grow profits with a shrinking population? Capitalism got its work cut out for it, bro. I'm gonna review one of my other something else I put up in the community chat, and if I didn't, I'm going to about this thing also. Oh, and you could throw capitalism, in particular neoliberalism, and why the women sound the way they do also. Right? Putting a market valuation on men and masculinity. You could throw that in the mix also. Oh, this is horrible. The horror. The horror. It's beautiful. Oh, I love it. Right? How is this supposed to work is the question. Right? How is this supposed to work? Right? And that's the problem that Japan ran into. That's the problem that South Korea's running into. That's the problem that the CCP, the Chinese government's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Right? Eastern Europe ran into that head first. Right? Western Europe is in panic mode. That's why you see Germany said, yeah, we'll take them. Yeah, they might do, some of these people might do terroristic activities, but we need the population. We need the tax base. We need the workforce. We haven't gone full automated yet. We haven't gone full AI yet to make up for this on the other side. And we'll deal with all the ramifications as they come. But we need this population. That's why Germany imported so many of those people against the German populace, against their will. The German government was like, yeah, we see something you don't see. Trust me. That's why Germany's not dealing with the same exact ramifications of and issues that Japan and South Korea are dealing with, because Japan and South Korea said, yeah, we're not importing people. Nope. So Germany has a different set of issues. Going to what Better You was saying. Yeah. How does this work? Shrugs. And yes, capitalism does have its work cut out for it. Right? Because many of the reasons why women think the way they do, you add on to their natural hypergamy. Then you put capitalism in the mix, and then neoliberalism in the mix. Oh, right? Clutches invisible pearls. Ah, right? Then they all want to walk around here like the meme of Dave Chappelle with his crown and the money. He's holding on to the money. Yeah. Right? And they're not questioning any of this. And then our technocrats and social designers and our researchers like Dr. Richard Reeves are having a difficult time coming to terms with the fact that the women aren't budging. And yes, they are. Oh, Kevin Samuels was in Lion. They are okay, not really okay. Let's be honest, they're really not okay with dying alone and single. Yes, we see them throwing a fit all over the interwebs and at work. For some of us that work with these people, we see them throwing a fit. But they told us they okay with being single. Not so much, but okay, right? Shout out to Sagar for this. Yes, Sagar is throwing all the little shadow red pill truths out there, the best he can without being called incels, right? Or without being called red pill, or without being called part of the manosphere. But once I knew that he was a Joe Rogan fan, oh, I already knew, right? And a Tucker Carlson fan. Now we know what we already got our issues with Tucker Carlson. But once I knew that, oh yeah, you know. But there's other people that produce really good content and they have a really good point of view on so many things, but they call us the winosphere. They call us the black winosphere. All these other more educated men and researchers are telling you what it is, but certain people believe in the bootstrap talk. If you think I'm taking shots, it's because I'm taking shots. Those people believe in the bootstrap talk. And every chance they get, they defecate on Kevin Samuels along with the women. Now, they ain't dancing on Kevin Samuels' grave like the women were, but they take little shots. And they say Kevin Samuels got his whole shtick from them. They call us the winosphere. Meanwhile, we saying these things. Them, not so much. Right? Not so much. And Better You also says, thank you for the super chat, brother. And Better You also says, I think that says, might sound it might sound weird, but it wouldn't be a stretch to say the lack of relationships could fuel future conflict in less developed parts of the world. Capitalism needs new markets to keep growing profits. Exactly. And no, it doesn't sound far-fetched because men have gone to war for vagina in the past. Men have gone to war for access of women. Men have gone to war, captured women, and sorry to those women, but yeah, hey, you know how this go. Wasn't that the whole thing with Boko Haram? It happens. This is not us advocating for it, but it's a descriptor. Throughout human history, it has happened. When they come and murk you, they don't just take your land, they take the women. And when I say take, I mean take. It ain't just kidnapping. So yeah. Right? And what I would argue is technology is going to mitigate for some of that. Better You. I would argue technology is going to mitigate for some of that. What you're really going to have, I don't think we're going to go to like some of the issues that the Indian government is dealing with some of those men actually doing that in a gang style. What I would argue is that you're going to see more of what you see now in the West, particularly in America, which is more and more young men just becoming recluse, becoming minimalist, completely taking themselves out the market, right? Was it called hikikomori? Doing that, or the shut-ins, right? I would argue you're going to see more of that. Men just doing bare minimum jobs that sustain them in their life and their hobbies, and completely writing off women and getting off on prawn, right? And adult content, and until the robots are real, you know, right? Until the robots are real enough, that's what men are going to be doing. Shout out to Dr. Thunder, right? Jergens lotion and yeah, Jergens lotion and the internet connection. And are we saying all men? No. Most men, I don't even think it's going to be most men. I think it's going to be a sizable minority of men that engage in that, right? I don't think it's going to be all or most. I don't want to be, I don't want to exaggerate this. I don't think it's going to be all or most. But I think it's going to be enough men that it does affect your population, your, once again, the childbearing, child rearing, taxes, all of that. I think our society really underestimates, and I'm not saying the researchers like Dr. Richard Reeves, but I'm saying your average person. I think they really underestimate how minimalist your average man can get, especially when he realizes he will not be providing for wife and children, and his hobbies aren't that expensive. If a dude could get a roommate, they both have their consoles, their supercomputer that costs 3-4 grand. They both have their PlayStations or Xboxes, their 50-inch flat screen TVs in their room. They share a living room. They both have their own restrooms. Then they're splitting the rent down the middle. Let's say they live in a $2,000 apartment and they splitting it down the middle. That's it. That's it. Right? So yeah, I agree. I agree with you on this one. I agree with you on that one. Better you. But I do think technology is going to mitigate for some of that, right? Technology is going to mitigate for some of that, and there's going to be the men, particularly in the black community, that will be the designated mandingos. There will be the men that women fight over for real, right? The brothers that did go to college and weathered that storm, and they're attractive and they're charismatic, right? They will be absolutely spoiled for choice. And then you will have the Mandingo guys. Pretty much what you see now, just exaggerated. And then the rest of us that, we got lucky. It was some work and some luck. And you met a woman and she was cool with you and you were cool with her and y'all had sex and y'all got married and y'all had children and you move away from all the chaos. You go live in neighborhoods with other families. I I think technology only makes us more of what we are. That's what I'm arguing. Technology will only make us more of what we are, and that's fortunate and unfortunate at the same time. Right? And Big Kev says, as soon as you talk about Indian tribes being reclassified as colored slash black or female supremacy being used as a weapon, ninjas start copping, please. Look, the black community in particular has a really difficult time seeing what I argue are the petite bourgeoisie of black women being the colonizing agent. They have a really difficult time coming to terms with the fact that the massa gave black women the whip. They have a difficult time coming to terms with black women have the whip. The massa still the white man, right? The final boss for Mr. Z isn't black women. It's not. But that still don't mean she ain't on the other side, right? As a group, we're saying, as a group, right? So I'm in agreement with Big Kev on that one. Yeah. people have a difficult time dealing with the fact that, and I agree with Obsidian on this. We state what we state and we wait for the facts to catch us. When Obsidian said that, I was like, I like that. I'm still in that one. We have our opinions on things. We know certain things. We state them, and then we wait for the facts and the data and the researchers to catch up to us. And so let me say it like this. Let me go out on a limb here. And I've said it before. I want to go out on a limb and say it again. The rich white elite dudes use women as a buffer class because they're not afraid of them. And feminism, and the reason why so many of those rich white elite dudes funded feminism, particularly black feminists, is to use women as the buffer class. Right? And so the second you want to go at their heads, standing in your way are the women. And anything you do to get at those men over there, you got to move the women out the way first. And the problem with that is you will be deemed all type of sexist and patriarchal and misogynist, etc., etc. Rich white elite men use men in general, working class men in general, but particularly black men. They're using their women against them. And so I'm in agreement with that. So where the college degrees come in here is that while there are men, I'm trying to hustle and bustle to fit perfectly in this kind of lane that the women are demanding that you fit in, is more you not fighting against these a-holes on top. The more time you spend negotiating with the women, the more time you're not going at the men on top. That's why Mr. Z speaks the way he does. Right? It's kind of messed up, but you got to say it. Ladies, y'all are a distraction, quite frankly. You're in the way. You are in the way. All of your superficial crap, the house and the car and the lifestyle you want to live with the expensive bag and the nice dinners, you're in the way. You're in the way. Right? So yeah, I'm in agreement with Big Kev on this one. Because let's be very clear, some of y'all some of you are wise enough to do lip service to this, even though you don't really mean it. When you say, well, this is about families and, better schools, and this is, generational wealth, right? Sunny Hosted want to talk about generational wealth. Sunny Hosted, most of you, it's not about that. It's about bragging rights. It's about your own ego. It's about those frenemy girlfriends that y'all have where y'all take digs at each other. Well, my man bought me this. Oh, my man bought me that. And my man did this for me. And my man did that for me. Right? That's what this is really about. And y'all are in the way. I argue that it's not a coinkydink. It's not a coincidence that you get all of the movements. Like I said, the environmental movement, the feminism movement, the Black Power movement, anti-war movement, all of that. Right? Labor rights, all of these things, all going on in the 50s and 60s, particularly the 60s. And the one that's the most enduring is what? The feminist movement. I wonder why. Anti-war don't make me laugh. The Gulf War still happened. Invasion of Iraq still happened. Afghanistan still happened. The anti-war movement out the window. Black Power movement Don't make me laugh. Got murdered by the mid-70s. The body got dumped in the 80s. And in the 90s, Bill Clinton came and urinated on the gravesite. Right? Labor rights. Labor rights. Labor rights. Go talk to Barack Obama about gig economies. No, excuse me, the gig economy. Right? So, feminism. I wonder why feminism. Right? So, yeah, I'm in agreement with Big Kev on that one. I'm definitely with Big Kev on that one. Y'all are in the way, ladies. Right to work states, right? Like I said, labor rights movement out the window. Black power movement out the window. Anti-war movement out the window. Oh yeah, I said environmental movement. That big ass pile of trash floating in the Pacific Ocean. They said what is as big as a state or something like that. Yeah, so there go your environmental movement. Fracking, there go your environmental movement. And Mr. Z's a car guy, but still. Fracking, there go your environmental movement. So the most enduring out of all of these is feminism. I wonder why. And now the state is allowing you and pushing you to get college degrees to solidify you being the colonizing agent, to solidify you being the buffer class. All right, ladies. All right. And Anubis, thank you for the I guess this is a super chat because it has the coffee mug. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for the coffee money. Thank you very much. Right. You know, and Dr. Thunder says, and thank you for the super chat. Dr. Thunder says, all of this is avoidable, but it would take a mass awakening by Black people and massive philosophy switch. We have begun the descent to the end. I don't know, Dr. Thunder. I think yes and no. This is what I say. I think technology helps us to grow for the gap that we see growing to become a chasm. And something that Dennis Sperling was speaking to, I made a video about this. This was like maybe 4 or 5 months ago at this point. And I actually gave a warning. I think this becomes a chasm. I think this becomes a chasm. And I think Chrissy want to talk about colorism. I think this becomes like a Brazilian style, South Africa style color class chasm. I think all the things that you see that the Black community is grappling with and larger America is grappling with, I think it becomes worse. And I think that those of us that get in where we fit in, we become part of that upper class of people that go on to have nuclear families. We raise our children to have nuclear families. They get connected with various races and ethnicities of people that are like mind. And I think everybody else, the masses of people that's part of the, let's say, the bottom 80, 75%, not so much. Right? And I think that will have to do with income and skin tone and class and education, etc., etc. I think you get Brazil. I think you get South Africa. Right? Yeah. So Brazil, that's why I called it, I came in the door saying the Brazilianification. I need to bring that back. The Brazilianification of America. I think Roger probably remember me saying that, and maybe BGS remembers me saying that. I came in the door saying that. I need to bring that back. So yeah, I definitely see where you're going with that, Dr. Thunder. I Unfortunately, right? I think technology only makes us more of who we are. So I think the window of an egalitarian society, and I'm not talking about sex, I'm talking about the ability to move up and down in class through education, through hard work. I think that window might be closing, and we're going to the window of like, no, this is the class you're in. You were born there, that's where you stay. And like, it would take a Herculean effort for that to change, right? Unfortunately, unfortunately. Right? And thank you for the super sticker, no placer. Thank you for the super sticker. Thank you very much. And Anubis says you make the argument that women in America are spoils of war. Well, let me make sure I read that right. You can make the argument that women, black in America, are spoils of war. Oh yeah, yes, yes. Brothers have been saying that for a while. Mr. Z is not even new, the person saying that. A lot of us have said that. Yeah, oh definitely, oh definitely. As much as they think they're above it, they're not. As a matter of fact, women of color are admitting that they're the spoils of war. When you see those online dating numbers and statistics and who's trying to be with who, yeah, women of color, like spoils of war is almost implying that you're taking them, right? It's almost like implying kidnap. No, these people are like willing participants, right? So yeah, Anubis, yeah, you're definitely right about that one. You're definitely right about that one. And no placeholder. Thank you once again. Thank you for the super sticker. Thank you for the super sticker. And I'm sorry for those of you that see me like kind of speeding up because I have to close out in a minute. So we're just speeding up. Oh, BGS is in here. What's going on, BGS? Right. And Oliver the Gray. And Oliver the Gray says pre-marriage, pool table, car, apartment, and TV. During marriage, mortgage, 2 car payments, school loans, etc. So Oliver the Gray is saying before he got married, he had a pool table, car, apartment, and a TV, and he was good. He was good. And he said during marriage, mortgage, 2 car payments, school loans. And I'm willing to bet them school loans are for his lady. I'm willing to bet that's because of his wife. Right? And that's just the way it is. Right? And Detroit says, I'm back. Just got to break down a situation. Just got to break down a situation. Oh, okay. Right. But yeah, look, and let me see, what did BGS say on his comment? He said something. But your society comes apart. What did I say when he said that? Goddamn. I'm trying to remember what did I say that might have triggered that comment. But yeah. Yeah, but look, I don't want to be 100% doom and gloom here, but we have to admit, like, what Sagar gave us here was how these things are going to look, or at least what he thinks, and what I would agree with him on, how we think these things are going to look as college becomes more gendered, non-college becomes more gendered, and then all of the ramifications from that. Once again, your voting pattern, your taste in entertainment, where you live, all of that. As that becomes more, like the divide between men and women grows because of college education, you're going to see more Ebony K. Williams. And once again, it's not about those individual women, particularly for us as black men, those individual black women. It's the social ramifications and the political ramifications of that. The economic also, but the social and the political ramifications of college educated women saying, well, assortative mating and equally yoked, translation, hypergamy, right? Right? And throwing a fit all across society because they're not able to meet or keep, right? Meet, get, or keep the type of men they feel they're deserving of, right? So, there's that. And once again, this is not about Ebony K. Williams. This is not about Kim Foster pre her boyfriend. This is not about Chrissy. This is not about Yanni. This is about tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, arguably millions of women who think like them. Right? So this is going to be a interesting time we live in. Shout out to Black Uru and BGS, because they won't be here to see the absolute catastrophe. I mean, but there's gonna be cool technology, right? That's gonna be cool. That. But the social ramifications of this insanity. I mean, that's not cool, right? Shout out to Black Uru. Black Uru always tells us, "Well, I'm so happy I ain't gonna be here to see this." Right? For all the brothers that's like 55-ish and older, y'all gonna see a whole lot. Especially if you have another decade or two on the planet, 2 decades on the planet, y'all still gonna see a whole lot. Y'all just ain't gonna see what we're gonna see for some of us in our 20s and 30s, maybe even early 40s, right? This is what when somebody's birthday news, like, I wish you many, many, many more, and a lot of the boomer brothers are like, nope, I don't want it. I don't want it. Right? A lot of the boomer brothers are like, yeah, I don't want it. Give me another decade and I'm good. Give me another decade, maybe a decade and a half, and I'm good. God could go ahead and call me home after that. Right? The BGSs and the Black Urus are like, okay, I'm in my 60s. I could, Black Uru, I don't think he doesn't have any grandkids. He probably let me get my grandkids, play with them a little bit, teach them how to ride a bike, and then about maybe a few years after that, yeah, you could go ahead and take me out of here, God. Right? But yeah, it's the social and political ramifications of this thing. And I'm, shout out to, I disagree with Sagar about a whole lot, but on this he's on point, and he's given a warning. It's not just some, put your thumb in women's eye and, tell them, hey, go back in the kitchen and be barefoot and pregnant. That's not kind of where most men are going, to be honest. Most men aren't saying that. We just, at least for Mr. Z in the Black Manosphere, I'm saying, so this is what y'all talking about? This so y'all wanted this? Are you sure? This ain't look. Y'all see what's going on, right? How is this supposed to work? I love that question. It's like one of my favorite questions. That's why y'all hear me say it all the time. How is this supposed to work? It's not. That's the catch. It's not. Right? And Detroit says, and thank you for the super chat. Detroit said, you seen the email I sent you? No, I have not. I will check it out. Right? After the stream, I'll check it out. No, I have not. I haven't checked my email in maybe two or so. Not even 2 days. Yeah, like 2 days, maybe a day. I don't remember checking it yesterday. So let's say I haven't checked my email in a day. Right? And Gilgami, thank you for the super sticker. Right? Thank you very much for the super sticker, brother. Right? But just absolute insanity right now, y'all. So we'll get into a close. Y'all check out the link in the description. Let me play my favorite part one more again before we close out. And and then y'all check out the link in the description to get more context, and you can hear the full segment. I think it's like 6 or so minutes long, about 6.5 minutes long, of Sagar speaking. But let's play Sagar's clip right now, and hopefully you guys can hear this clearly. For all of you that are going to be part of the replay, well, this is too late anyway, but I guess I'll put the timestamp on the thumbnail for the replay gang. But I think I started around. It got clear around what 35 minutes or so, 30 minutes or so. So anyway, let's play this clip. Here we go, you guys.
The male-female differential here is worth noting. Men are much, much more likely than women to say college is not worth it and express delight at the ability to make a better wage than before without having to go to the trouble of going to college. Make no mistake, on a long enough timeline, this is going to dramatically reshape the face of America. College is not just about education. More and more, it's really about ideology and lifestyle. Whether you have a 4-year college degree or not is the best single approximator today for how you vote. If you attended college, you are likely a Democratic voter, and vice versa. Of course, there are many important exceptions, and I am talking about averages, but the point remains clear. If you went to college, you are much more likely to have very different cultural tastes than if you did not, including, but not limited to, the type of music you like, the TV shows you watch, where you go on vacation, where you shop for groceries, what you consider a societal problem, whether you know anyone in the military, so many things like this. If you don't go to college, you will be very different in your preferences and your desires in almost every single one of those categories. Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, as long as both sides are not trying to police the other. But the issue is what happens when those separate dramatically by gender and class lines. We already have lots of data to show that the mismatch between men and women in college is having a huge effect already on the potential dating pool, for college graduate females especially. It is leading to a major loneliness crisis for a number of men who are having very, very hard times finding a female mate. Young female depression gets all the headlines, but as I've laid out here before, it's really young men who are in crisis. Young men commit suicide at 4 times the rate of young women. They make up 80% of all suicide deaths of male versus female. Furthermore, young men who remain single for prolonged periods of their life suffer worse health outcomes. They achieve lower wages. They report lower life satisfaction. Generally, they are not thriving. Structurally, you're in a tough place right now. Men understand that they are mostly not wanted at college or that it is not a good deal for them. But the working class wages that they are seeking are not high enough in the long run or show enough promise to actually set them up for middle class or upper middle class life in the future. Thus, they remain in this odd middle ground gray area. They're not thriving enough to attract many women who are themselves college graduates, who also find themselves lonely and miserable. What you need is a total reset of this whole system.
Yep. Like I said before, and we'll end out on this. For all of the ladies that are getting off on the tit for tat, and you snubbing you're snubbing your nose at black men, and you're trying to poke black men in the eye. As I said before, there is no black men losing the gender war without black women losing the gender war. Men lose the gender war. Black men lose the gender war. They lose. I want to be very clear. Men will lose the gender war. Black men will lose the gender war against black women. White society will prop you up because they see you as less of a threat. Here's the problem, ladies. You lose the gender war harder. It doesn't make sense, but it makes perfect sense. It doesn't make sense, but it makes perfect sense. Men lose the gender war, women lose the gender war harder. Your average everyday person can't afford this. And just because you have a college degree does not mean you're not average. It doesn't mean you're not regular. We already know only 10% of Americans, give or take, earn $100,000 a year. More than 10% of Americans have college degrees. And there you go. Median income in America is what, some $35,000 or so. How many college grads are only earning 40 grand, $45,000 a year? Right? So that's what it is. All right, everyone. On that note, we'll pause right here. Truly, love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all have a great rest of our day. Go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. Mr. Z out. All right, y'all. Mr. Z got to run. Ooh, Mr. Z got to run. All right, everybody. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Mr. Z out.